All right, we are back here on the Just End the Suffering podcast, wrapping up this week's big supersize episode with a look at the full season of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The all 6 episodes aired on Disney Plus. I talked about the premiere at this guy. He's back with the finale. Dan DeMartini is here. Dan, how are you?
Doing well, Mike. Thanks for having me back. And happy to talk about this. Very interesting to see what Marvel and Disney did.
All right, so the two of us, who is the Falcon? Who is the Winter Soldier?
I mean, right now they've obviously, our characters have gotten so many different names and tags and just moving. It was just kind of interesting because it's like they took all, in the comics themselves, all of these guys all held the title of Captain America. And, it's very interesting to me to see how in just 6 episodes, so many different people held so many different names and characters and just the mantles themselves. So at this point, I don't even know. I don't know. Who do you think is the Falcon and Winter Soldier?
It's a good question. I don't know for sure. I was curious on your take, but we're going to spoil the hell out of the whole series, Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I'm going to put the warning up here for anybody who has not finished the series yet. All right, you've been warned. If you do not want to spoil the series of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, get out. Go ahead now. And now we talk about Captain America and the Winter Soldier, as the last title card told us.
Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think Falcon is now retired. I think that they did a nice job of all the things that I thought this series did. I really do think they did a nice job with Sam, becoming that. He's always been just an ancillary figure within the whole Avengers scene. He always just had he was kind of the guy that would provide a little bit of comic relief and, maybe a scene here or there that was, kind of that deep cut heart to heart with Chris Evans' version of Captain America. I think they did a really nice job, though, establishing him as a mainstay in this next phase of the Marvel universe. I think now he is justified. Obviously, they went about it by, really building up, making race a big thing within the series itself, and showing that, the Winter Soldier, even John Walker's character of U.S. Agent is now very much on board with, Sam himself. I thought that was an interesting way. 2 episodes ago, he was the villain, and now he's kind of part of the squad. So, was it a little rushed? Yes, but I do feel of all the characters that we got something out of, the establishment of Sam as Captain America is probably the one real big takeaway. I don't know if this series really did anything for Bucky. I still kind of feel like his story is not really that well told. Kind of like, where is he going from here? All we know is that he finished his book. But, what really is next for him? No idea. What did you think about that?
I think for sure the best part of this entire series is the way they handled Sam's storyline, because they gave you plenty of backstory. They gave you him bonding with Isaiah Bradley, the other super soldier who was basically hidden from history, experimented on. They got him the honor in the museum was great. And I thought the suit, first of all, was phenomenal. I thought they did a good job. It was very reminiscent of the comic suit that Sam has.
It's really cool. And I loved just the way that the goggles are kind of built into because Captain America is really famous for wearing the helmet, that kind of, shields him from that, but he doesn't have the full helmet, but they still established the goggles into the neckline to almost make it look like it's a slip on. So I thought that was really cool. Just in general, I thought that just the design of it was very much a nice refresh, because we've seen now Captain America with basically, or what is supposed basically 3 different versions of it. So this is a really cool version of the big star. And, I couldn't say anything else really about it. I still prefer Bucky's arm. I still think Bucky's arm is one of the coolest looking weapons in all of Marvel, just, that design. But that's just me.
Hey, you and Rocket both love that arm.
I just absolutely love it. I think it's really, really cool. And definitely Rocket and I would both steal that thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, we had the big fight scene at the GRC meeting. Sam comes in, saves the day. I think the fights were cool. I do think the best part of the whole thing, though, was Sam is having the speech with to the representatives of the GRC there. I thought very good acting by Anthony Mackie. Very good job selling the speech, and you could tell like the way it was written that it speaks to more than just him wearing the mantle. It speaks to like the role that like black people have in this country. That was a very well written speech, well delivered by Anthony Mackie.
The whole series. Yes, there was great action. There was violence. I think that it was really interesting. One of the biggest factors that I picked up on was gun violence. We don't really see a lot of like bullet related gun deaths in Marvel or Disney movies really in general, but think about how much gun violence took place within this 6-episode series. I mean, even Carly being shot in the back twice. Really interesting to see that. We're really not used to that. So I think that not only was there the political side of Sam now being looked at as an icon and as somebody to be a leader as a black man and a superhero, but also the senselessness of gun violence, or using guns to kill people who are just trying to fight for their own cause, very much speaks to today's climate. So I thought it was a very bold and interesting take for Marvel and Disney to make a stance. I mean, you can call it Falcon and the Winter Soldier all you want, but this was definitely a stance on where they see what politicians need to do to move the country forward. So I thought that was very surprising to me, just to see how many people were killed with bullets in this 6 episodes.
Yeah, also the speech also was very pointed from basically Marvel talking to like the real world, saying, here's what's wrong here. And Sam's basically pointing out, it's like, hey, like there's no difference in power between you, the senator who's running the GRC, or Carly. And if you keep ignoring them, you can't call them terrorists. And you never know, the next one could be doing more things worse. You need to listen to people. I thought all that made a ton of sense.
Yeah, and he said it a few times. Has anybody ever asked the question why? Why is Carly revolting, or why are people doing these things? And if it comes back to being able to put yourself in other people's shoes and just general equality, but inequality. But once again, they made a very interesting series, and it did feel a little, if we're going to kind of take a step back from love the nitty gritty details of it, it felt like a movie that you had to kind of obviously break down into individual parts. But I did feel like the last episode was very choppy. Like it wasn't really like smooth transitions through the end. I feel like they just had to, if you watch it again, it's like 4.5 minutes of this to resolve this issue. Boom. Next whole storyline to finish. Next story. It felt very like they just had to kind of tell you where they were going because they had opened so many doors and they closed them all very quickly. Is this episode going to be, or this series, Falcon and Winter Soldier, is it going to be critical to the future of, the next time that they bring together New Avengers or anything along those lines, or the next mega collaboration movie? Other than establishing Sam, I don't really think so. I think that they used, and the creation of US Agent maybe as another super soldier. I don't know if it's really going to be that thing like, oh yeah, this was, like the first time you saw Guardians of the Galaxy or the first, Thor movie. Like you're not going to get that feeling from this. But for the really deep cut fans of it, I think it's really cool to get the origin of Falcon as Captain America. That's the one thing that I will really take away. Establishing him as a basically as a character without any real powers other than he understands the bigger picture. And he's got a really cool suit to help him along the way.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he's the best part of the series. I think there are issues underlying here. I know it's one of the highest rated properties on Disney Plus, but to me, I think 2 things talking to me was number one, the pacing of this show was off me. Episode 5, I'm watching like, this isn't the finale. I mean, it was structured like a typical finale where you have all the resolve, all this stuff. And then there's another episode after. I thought when I was watching, like, wait, did they give us the wrong episode? Did they give us the finale instead of episode 5? That was one problem. And
that's really where I felt it was choppy. I felt like there were things that they still feel like after the episode 5 that they needed to resolve. in episode 6. And I think you're right. Even that end cut scene from episode 5, where you see John Walker making his own shield, like that would have been kind of cool to leave us cliffhanger, to see what's going to happen there. But then they actually resolve it. You get to see his new suit. You get to see, the interaction with Val, and it's, I don't know where they're going to go with that. Like, how much of that are we going to get a whole U.S. agent series? Like, they really tried to establish him, and I love the character that Wyatt Russell plays. But like, what's the bigger picture there? I think this series did, once again, great job with Sam. Okay with Bucky. I mean, I really feel like maybe Bucky is just now more humanized. I think this series just shows that he's really back to, kind of being part of the team and not figuring out his own issues. But once again, where they go with U.S. Agent, not sure. We'll see. Yeah,
U.S. Agent, I'll get to in a minute. The other thing I thought was badly handled throughout the series, like the villains themselves, the Flag Smashers, Carly Morgenthal's character, like the movies were never really super clearly established, apart from like they tried to give you dialogue exposition, didn't make a ton of sense. And I don't know if do you have a PlayStation 5 or 4? You played the new Spider-Man Miles Morales game?
No, but I've heard it's fantastic.
Yeah. So anyway, literally the look of the villains and of Carly Morgenthau in particular almost feels like the exact same as the main villain in Spider-Man Miles Morales. The same kind of like underground group. They're called the Underground. Like the main villain in that game looks exactly like Carly Morgenthau's character. And I'm like, did we do this simultaneously? Did we discuss with each other? Because I felt like the video game did it better.
Maybe, but I do think that Carly and the Flag Smashers stood for the purpose of injustice, which is the biggest theme in order to establish what's going on. They're really just a metaphor for what's going on in the world right now. And I think that they were the perfect metaphor for this series. And to have somebody like Sam, a strong, Black man in America as a leader, to step up and speak a voice for those that don't have a voice or don't feel like they have a voice right now. Totally understand that. But once again, my issues, and I totally get your take about it being very similar to, there have been a lot of villains kind of in Marvel, like lesser known villains like that come from these kind of, alt groups that seem radical, but then when you look into their actual reasoning of why, you can kind of understand or sympathize with them a little bit. Carly's abilities and I was confused by the scene, and maybe you can clarify this. I've tried to watch twice, but so Baron Zemo, obviously, spoiler alert, kills the rest of the Flag Smashers of her crew. When they got into that van, when they were going to be sent to that isolated prison, the security guard says one people, one world, or one world, one people tagline to them. Were you under the impression that he was trying to help them get away, but then Baron Zemo had set a bomb on the vehicle, or what was going on in that scene in your mind?
I think it's exactly as you read it, is that this guy was going to help them get out, and then Baron Zemo just one up them by killing them before the guy could break him out.
It felt very rushed. It would have been. I liked the Baron Zemo sitting in the prison. We didn't know where Baron Zemo went after he was taken away, so it's good to know that he's now back in an isolated prison. I was under the impression he was in Wakanda, weren't you?
I think they said they're taking him to the raft, as far as I remember.
Did they say that? Okay, maybe I missed that portion, but. I just, once again, another thing that just kind of poof out of nowhere, no background, no nothing, just, Carly is now dead, and now the rest of her group is completely gone. I don't know how I felt about it, but I do understand that there's that similarity to what was going on with Spider-Man and in the game, but don't be surprised if there's other radical groups that are used as kind of looked at as villains, but then we realize the deeper story behind them. That's a very common theme within all the Marvel comics.
Yeah, it's talking more about the actual physical look. They look very similar. Like the video game character looks a lot like the actress who played Carly Morgenthau. That's what I was pointing at.
And it might be just that they're not planning to use those characters in the Miles Morales the next time that they show him or use him as Spider-Man. And they thought that was too good of a character and too good of a plot idea to just let go and not utilize again. So it could have just simply been that they liked it and they were going to use it in the game. They were going to use it in the show, and that'll probably be it. Who knows?
Yeah, it makes some sense. The other thing that sort of popped up out of nowhere, which I mean, I don't love the direction. I like the thought they did the character, the work they got, the way they got there was very weird. Was the idea that now Sharon Carter is the power broker, and all of a sudden she's in pulling the string. We get that she's not doing great stuff in Madripoor, like, but they sort of leap all of a sudden. They tell you the whole series, the power broker is running everything. The power broker is running everything, and then we get a throwaway line of Sharon Carter is the power broker in the finale, which to me, like they did not deliver on the promise there.
Yeah. I kind of think we all knew that she was up to some stuff, especially because they kept showing her with all that high-end art and weird stuff that she was got going on out there. It looked like she was kind of running an underground trade or an underground something. So we knew that she had some other plans going on. She never seemed sincere about really wanting to be back in the US and being able to, really, go back to her old, rah-rah US government type role. I think that she's realized that the world has changed. She's another kid. Marvel did an excellent job in the series of kind of, other than Sam and Bucky, we don't know the true intentions of even the characters that seem friendly. We don't know. John Walker in this series looked like he was going to turn into the main villain, and now it seems like he's doing okay, or he's doing his own thing and he can fight alongside these guys. It's the same way with Carter as well. I mean, Sharon's an interesting decision to where she's going to go from here. What is she going to do with these files of US government weapons and all this stuff? Is she going to continue to be a problem? She doesn't have any superpowers. So it's like, is she going to hook up with bad people and get herself in trouble? Or is she going to, where they've established all these characters for a reason. So I am really curious to see what they're going to do with them. And when's the next time that we're going to see her? Where does she play into, what's going to happen with the multiverse of madness and all these other things going forward, because at some point you would assume these storylines are going to reconnect. So, she had a cool role, but once again, it seems unlikely that with her mother and everything that's gone on in the past and her relationship with Chris Evans, Captain America, I just have a hard time believing that she's now just corrupt. So that was interesting.
Yeah, I think they did a better job fleshing John Walker out and in the series. I mean, he has the moment where he breaks. He had the iconic image of the series where he kills the Flag Smasher overseas, and we see the blood dripping from the Captain America shield. We had the great fight scene there, and we sort of see he's sort of on that anti-hero path where he's trying to decide, do I want to be just Captain America? I want to be something else. And we had the great twist and turn in the finale where first he shows up and then you think he's going to pass up on saving the people to kill the terrorists, and he ends up going back to save the people. And you see hope for him, and then he ends up linking up with the Julia Louis-Dreyfus character who gives him the title of U.S. agent. And I think setting him up is sort of like a nebulous quantity here. You don't know whose side he's truly on is fun.
Yeah, or what his true mission is going to be, and whether if he's now taking direction from her, how much can we trust, or how much will he trust her? Those two actors together are really fun to watch, and I would watch, a series based off of just them and what's going on, and to see if she's, because in the comics, her character, spoiler alert, kind of bounces around. She's known at various points of time as pulling the strings for the new Hydra. And then there's various times when she is just looking out for her own self-interest. So not sure if she's going to be along the lines. It's funny that, in WandaVision, we got, Agatha Harkness, who is essentially a villain, but also at the same time could potentially become an ally, a temporary ally, kind of like Baron Zemo. And now we also have, a John Walker who's supposed to be the good guy, who potentially could be doing a bad guy thing. So they continue to create these two-sided characters. it makes writing for them really fun, because you never truly know what you're going to get. And remember, there's only so many videos and movies and series that they can create. So at some point they just have to make a decision on how they represent the character. So it's not like they have 1,000, versions of, the comic books. So, or different issues and episodes coming out. So, they have to kind of make their choices based off of what they think will move along a narrative. So somewhere there's a whiteboard, Mike, that says like, okay, for this phase, we're establishing these are the main themes. These are the characters. These are the good guys. These are the faces. These are the heels. And here's how we're going to roll with them. So I'd love to see that whiteboard.
Yeah, I would too. I think also them getting Julia Louis-Dreyfus and keeping that casting secret for so long is a hell of a pull by Marvel.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I think she fits in, and I think she can work that role very well. I want to see more of her. I think we need to establish her backstory a little bit more than just these kind of 2 scenes. We really only got it for 2 scenes. And once again, you can do these cool cameo appearances and you can tease them, but if you're only going to give us 6 episodes, once again, it's hard for us to buy in when you're only going to give her basically 2 minutes of total screen time, so we know her face, especially Seinfeld fans. And we like the character that she established herself as, but unless you know the deep cut of the background of the character, why should you care about seeing her again? You need the character development with these, Disney Plus series is something that I was worried about coming in, and I definitely don't think I'm 100% sold on yet.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the rumors go, she's rumored to appear in the Black Widow, which would have been her first canonical appearance, which takes place before any of this. So maybe that's helpful. Would have been helpful. Maybe we'll see. I'm sure that scene's probably still in the movie. It's probably a post-credits. So maybe my guess where she pops up. I think that's gonna be interesting to see what happens to her. But I think the problem with this series as a whole is like the backbone of the story is good, but I think there's a little bit too much of Marvel trying to set up future Marvel projects and not just telling Sam's story.
Correct. This series should not have been called Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I don't know what you would call it, but it should have just been like, Captain America, the next phase, or, like something like that, because this really isn't a show. They tried to give us some really sweet moments between, Bucky and Sam, Bucky helping him on the boat and bringing his life back together and helping his family and doing all those things, and them fighting together and working together so well. But I really don't think it was called Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Because first off, Bucky really isn't the Winter Soldier anymore. So, it's Captain America, the new Captain America, and Bucky Barnes. Like that should have been the name of the show. So anyway, I get that they were trying to develop these things, but at the same time, if you're going to do 6 episodes, I know that we saw some great fighting scenes, some great action. The super serum stuff out there is something that I thought was a really delicate topic to play with, because, they always talked about the character of the human bringing out the best in the serum or the worst in the serum. Yes, John Walker took the super soldier serum, but I don't think we truly saw, like, I thought about his fight sequences from the first or second episode. He didn't look or do anything really different other than he kind of super punched Carly like once or twice. But once again, it would have been cool to get more development around his decision to take the serum, the effects on his body. Did he notice anything different? Now we have another legit super soldier walking around out there. And, character development is my biggest issue with the series. I'm okay with the main theme and some of the other storylines that got a lot of airtime, especially around like Sam's family. But once again, I still wanted more. I need to buy into character. Like even, Sam's relationship with Isaiah, right?
Yeah.
that's a really cool storyline, and it makes a lot of sense for Sam, that being the reason that he wanted to pick up the mantle, and not just because Cap told him to pick up the mantle. I like that. But it was hard because we didn't really know the full background of Isaiah coming into this, or that he even really existed within Cap's original universe. So, I felt like maybe it was a little bit forced. And it would have been cool to know that he was there coming into this as well. So once again, very deep cut, probably comic based. But just a very, very quick development on that. So I wanted it, maybe slow the pace down a little bit more, establish the villains and give us more airtime there, and don't focus so many on the smaller storylines, but then give us 8 episodes, something like that.
Yeah, I think the issue is that they're trying. I think it's sort of the problem that Iron Man 2 runs into, with clearly trying to set the Avengers up, where we're introducing Black Widow, we're bringing Nick Fury back in, we're doing all sort of the side storylines going on here. That started to take away from the main focus of the plot. I think that's my big issue with the series as a whole.
Yeah, I'm okay with a lot of it. I liked WandaVision more. As I said, just coming in, it was weird when the first episode came out. I was underwhelmed on Falcon and Winter Soldier. Then when the second and third episode came out, I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. It's getting a little dark. It's getting a little different. John Walker's character is kind of stealing the show from me a little bit. And then they kind of got away from him, and it got very more back into the political side of things, and Sam kind of feeling lost. And obviously he needed to take up the shield, and there was a lot of closure for Bucky, but I really loved the Baron Zemo scenes. And then it just kind of came to us, that very quick halt of the storylines in episode 5. And I felt the same way coming into 6, like, okay, well, what are we going to get here as a finale? Is it going to be an epic big battle, or is it going to be is it going to be a whole episode at the Capitol or wherever it is that they were doing the big GRC, convention, or are we going to get individual, or is that going to be just a small portion and it's going to really lead into a chase around the world to still, lock them down with the flag smashes? I didn't know. It was a very slow moving finale for me.
Yeah, I think as a whole, I give the series about a B. I think 2 through 4 is probably the best stretch of this series. I think those 3 episodes were great. They did a good job with the finale, considering all the weird things they were doing in episode 5 and sort of try and set this up. But I think I give it a B. WandaVision's better. It tells a tighter story. It doesn't get into as much setting up future Marvel projects. But I think Sam, I can't give it less than a B for Anthony Mackie's acting in the series.
Yeah, I'm torn. I obviously loved WandaVision. I would give WandaVision like a B plus, A minus. I would give it a like a 90, probably out of 100. I would give this. It was a little disappointing. I'd give it probably a B minus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the only thing that kept it from being a C plus was probably, once again, Anthony Mackie was really, really cool, really incredible to watch that story develop, and to see the suit, and to see how he incorporated his shield with the wings at the end. I thought that was kind of cool too. So he's got more power than like the average human's not going to be able to do all that stuff. So although he doesn't have any technical superpowers, it's cool to see what he's now got to help him.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting to see what's happening here with this Marvel phase of shows and films in particular, because I forget where I was reading. I don't know if it was either The Verge or Comic Resources. I think the interesting thing here is that they're sort of using right now some of these properties to sort of transition away from the original Avengers class of heroes and set up the new class. Like this show basically gives us a transition of Sam accepting the male Captain America. The next Thor movie, you're going to see Natalie Portman take up grab the hammer. We have Hawkeye series transitioning from Hawkeye to Kate Bishop. We have a bunch of these sort of projects we're sort of setting up, like, here's the new class, so we can sort of keep the heroes going. So a very comic booky way. It's like, here's the hero, but it's not the same actor. That way, we don't have to pay Robert Downey Jr. $75 million to be Iron Man. We can set up Don Cheadle, have him be another version of Iron Man.
Right, and Shang-Chi, right? We just saw the trailer drop for that one, right?
Yep.
So that's going to be, he's a really cool character. There's a lot of cool there's Moon Knight's coming out. So there's a lot of other series. I would say of all this, the Disney Plus series that I was kind of excited to see the storyline of, I think Loki is still the one that I want the most, and I have really high expectations for that. It's going to be interesting to see how Owen Wilson fits into the Marvel universe. Because obviously he's a main character in that one, but it still feels like the old Marvel universe having, Tom Hiddleston's Loki. So I think it'll be really refreshing. I think the order I know you and I, on the last time we spoke, we talked about the order that these came out, and that they weren't exact how they were supposed to go. But I think after this one, Loki will be a nice refresh. Because this one was very deep, very political, very violence based, very traumatic. There was a lot of deep loss, everybody experiencing severe loss. I think Loki will be a little bit more fun again. So I would not say this series was fun, but I would say that is an important statement from Marvel. And I think it's really cool to have Anthony Mackie is an actor that I like watching. So I want to see more of him, and I want to see how he potentially takes a leadership role with this whole new class that you've referenced.
Yeah, and we also got the big news yesterday. After watching the post credits, like, oh, they kind of left it open for a season 2. We found out no, they're actually doing a Captain America 4. They're going back to the movie with Captain America. Anthony Mackie's going to be the lead. So, do you think this is going to be one where this is the only series and we don't see him again until the movie? You think they could do a season 2 if they wanted?
I don't think so. I think they're going to wait till the movie. I think that they've got a lot of projects. If they do, I'm very happy to watch it. I would be curious to see, maybe they feel like before the movie comes, they need to establish more of these other characters, or put in some other reason for Anthony Mackie to now have another challenge in front of him. And to maybe the series makes him start to recruit other people that will then help in the movie. Or they just come right out with the movie itself. But yeah, very happy to see that we're going to get another Captain America. And I think it's going to do, with how the themes that Disney Plus and Marvel worked on here to establish kind of, or really Marvel, but to establish Sam as the Captain America. I think it's going to do a lot of what the Black Panther did, establishing that character as well within the Marvel universe as a male Black lead as well. And I think that the two of their most important projects going forward will be the next Captain America and Black Panther 2, because what they do with those characters is really establish them as leaders. Very much is with the tone of what we got in this series as well. And I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think you're probably right. I think we're not going to see Sam again until a movie. I think he's back in the base. I think we're seeing him on the small screen again. I think the only one we'll see from this series again anytime soon again, I think we'll see John Walker pop up somewhere else. I think he's going to end up showing up and doing something in another show.
It could be interesting. We'll know right away also, right? We'll know if there's like some sort of, they start referencing like a rogue agent, or they start saying like there's somebody out here that's, operating or pulling the strings. We're going to know that better keep John Walker in the back of our mind for a cameo in another one of these series. I don't think we'll see him in Multiverse of Madness, but I'm trying to think what other movie could he pop up in before that one. I'm going to have to look at the whole list again.
I wonder if he shows up in Hawkeye somewhere.
Could be, because obviously, Clint was very much in tune or acted as a government body. Yeah. That's going to be interesting there to see what he can do. And those two actors on screen, if we get a little bit of Jeremy Renner and a little bit of Wyatt Russell, that'd be a lot of fun, because I feel like they would really butt heads. I know the whole series is to set up Kate, but I would love to see that. So good call.
Yeah, we can see what happens there. Dan, thanks all the time. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, how can people follow on social media on some of the stuff you're up to?
Well, we're walking into draft week here, so I'll definitely be active on Twitter and be putting out some stuff. So Out of Town Fan Pod on Twitter is the best way to find me.
All right, Dan. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. See ya.